Hi, Ross here for First Line Distribution, and today we're talking to the lovely Jose from Thermion Pedals. Going to talk through some of the stuff, ask a few questions, and find out more about him and the history and Thermion Pedals in general. So, Jose, welcome. Thanks for joining us, and let's just talk a little bit about you. So, obviously, the history is on the website. There's a bunch of interviews with you out there, but for anyone that hasn't seen you or your stuff, quick brief history of who you are, how you got started, and kind of the goal of Thermion.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me here and for the interview. I'm more than pleased to be here. The Thermion started back in 2012 with something very curious. I was now he's a great friend of mine, to a local shop here in Albacete, and they had a Marshall JCM 800, just completely upside down. Everything was dismantled, and they were like, we don't know what's happening to this amplifier. And I was like, well, I came into the shop. There were like 4 people looking at the amplifier, which was not working indeed. And they were like, we really don't know what happens to this amplifier. And I was like, well, I'm an electronics engineer. I know a little bit about amplifiers. I repair my amplifiers. So I think like this is what's happening to the amplifier. I don't exactly remember. And they were like, everybody was looking at me like, do you know anything about guitar amplifiers? Because literally there was nobody in our area repairing amplifiers. And I was like, well, I know a little bit. And they were like, well, from now on, you are our technician. So they gave me the amplifier for repair. I indeed repaired the amplifier, and everything started from there. And we started repairing for that shop. At the time, I was an engineer at the railways here in Spain. I was a railway signal engineer, kind of. Okay. And well, from there it went downhill. We started making our own pedals. I had some ideas that I wanted to make. In 2014, we made the gasoline. We started marketing our pedals, locally, just to friends. And eventually, some people like reach us, like, "Hey, I would like to buy your pedals. We're from Spain." And then eventually I won a couple of local contests for companies, for startups, kind of, it was kind of the thing at the time, like I have a startup. And I won those contests, and I went to Music Messe, and I started in 2000. We were already in 2017. I started selling those through Europe and slowly growing. And that's kind of how Thermion started.
Amazing. Sort of a not quite an overnight success, but that kind of so many huge companies have started just, we'll do a little bit here and a little bit there, and actually, well, there's some call for this, and just build from there. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we always say that Thermion, it's not the 100 meters; it's a marathon. Yeah. We have grown very slowly. We have done things the way we believe it should done. Especially everything it's done with our own money. We have like no investors, no nothing. It's just like a couple of guys from Albacete that started this thing, and we're here.
Amazing, awesome stuff. So when you kind of start out, it's like, right, okay, we need to add something to the range. What's your kind of process? Do you look at a gap in the market? Do you have a book of ideas, or is it just kind of you wake up in the middle of the night and go,
I think with my first designs, obviously it was like the things I wanted for myself. Like, for example, the Spitfire heads, the tube heads that we currently just make custom. If somebody wants a Spitfire, they come here and we build those for them. And the gasoline, and I was in a band at the time. I'm now in a band, but I have a son. So I have a band. When you have some children, you have a band.
Yes.
And I was playing with a big tube amplifier, obviously. And I was like, I need something more portable. I need something smaller that I can bring on my own. And I designed gasoline. So I was like, I prayed in a stoner hard rock pan. And I was like, okay, let's do something that I can bring on my pedal board and I can just connect to a power amp. It was not a big reduction, but it was indeed something smaller. I brought a rack power amp and the gasoline. I just played with that at the time, and that was like my first solution to a problem that I came up with. And then some years later, when I already had designed everything I wanted for myself, I was like, okay, we really should do something that people need. And in 2020, we made the Zero, which was when during the pandemic it was a success release because during the pandemic everything was so strange.
Yeah.
But it really was a game changer for us because until that time we were like just me in a small warehouse making the pedals, and then we started making something a little bigger. The Zero it's a floor amplifier. It is a power amp with a clean channel that you can connect your pedals to, and also it's stereo. It has a reverb, and that was our first problem solving thing, let's say. And from there we designed the Freeway because a lot of people came with the feedback like the Zero is okay, but I have never used the power amp because I just go direct to the front of the house or to a mixer or something. And then we said, well, let's do the Freeway, which is more or less the same concept, a little bit more open, and also it does not have the power amp. It's a little cheaper too. So it's a little bit of mix the things I need, the feedback I get, and also I always want our pedals to solve problems. To solve situations, to solve issues. Like I want to play, but I want to go light. I want to expand the channel capabilities of my amplifier. So maybe the gasoline solves that issue, or the heartbreaker. Something that is practical.
Yeah, something I've noticed, and that was a big thing for me with the Breathe. Exactly that. It's a problem solver. It's you kind of go, right, okay, well, certainly for me personally, and I know a million other guitar players, it's the end of your chain is delay, reverb, and boost. And fine, you have separate pedals and all of that, but without kind of going the digital route, there isn't anything out there that I know of that is all of those three things, like the one box that is the end of your signal chain. So it's just brilliant. And that whole problem solving thing it's genius because it's so simple.
I must admit that I did not come with I don't know, come up with an idea. It was our Korean distributor that we were someday speaking just randomly about designs and guitar and stuff, and he was like, have you never considered putting the Zero, the reverb in the Zero that I like a lot with the Outlaw, which is a booster and a delay?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea because it's going to be too big, and how am I going to make the connections and stuff? Yeah. But suddenly then I started thinking, maybe that's not a bad idea because that's something I would personally use because it solves my needs for solos. I just push. For example, I always play the delay just for the solos. So if I press the delay, the boost comes in, and you have the options to associate the reverb with the boost or just alone. And you have like a lot of very easy configurations, no menuing, no nothing. That's where the idea came from. It's just from things that people really need.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of kind of things that are functional and absolutely make sense, that you just combine a few elements together and it solves such a big problem. And first world problems are, I need to replace several pedals on one board, and it's just like, well, there you go. I'm a big fan of the Breathe. And again, like you say, the Outlaw, similar kind of thing. I am as well, that I generally only use delay for a solo. or a particular kind of part to stand out. So yeah, let's boost that at the same time. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's like things that, as you say, things that really make sense, and that we find that preferably nobody is making, but that's really hard in the 21st century. But that there are little options, and we always put a little sugar on top. For example, the Outlaw has the Tails mode, and it has like three ways to darken the repeats.
Yeah.
So that's our idea. That's our idea. I know it's very hard in the 21st century, especially in the analog world, because it seems a little bit like the digital companies are trying to project the image that analog world is completely done. There's nothing else that you can do, but that's not true. There's a lot of things that can be done, a lot of things that can be improved, and I think it's a good way to make things work.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like the analog world and the digital world can live in harmony, or could it be like, oh well, it's definitely going to go one direction over another?
I think right now there's coexistence because there are people that are perfectly fine just with their digital pedal boards, and they do everything in one pedal board, and that's perfectly fine until the battery runs out and you haven't done properly a backup or something.
Yes.
But there are also people that would never consider menuing instead of moving knobs for adjusting their tone. And I think a lot of people stay in the analog world. The analog world today I think is good enough to be able to just stay in it, stay in everything is analog. I have like 5-6 tone options in a small pedal board, and frankly, very people need more than 5 or 6 sounds to play a live show. And there are people that just want to stay digital, and obviously there are people that love the mix of everything. For example, I know there are a lot of people running those Helix, Line 6 Helix stop with the zero, and both with the zero on the freeway, and they just take the zero on the freeway because they really like the analog tone, and they get the digital effects and some distortion overdrive from there, and they're pretty happy. So the coexistence is the good way. I don't think there's really something that is going to be replacing us all as analog manufacturers. No, not in the, I don't know, next 10 years or 20. No, I don't think so.
Sure. Do you see anything kind of on the horizon from an engineering electronics perspective that could totally revolutionize the pedal industry?
Good question. Right now, I think I kind of saw coming the amplifier in pedal format thing. That's why we released the Zero. There was like 2 or 3 amplifiers. There was Plug Up and this was Millman. And I was like, I'm going to do something they're not doing, like stereo, for example. There was no stereo options at that time. But right now, it's kind of difficult. I don't know how this is going to evolve. I think that a lot of people are doing something that can be useful with both the digital and analog stuff. For example, power amplifiers. I saw a couple days ago the new release from Victory Amplifiers, that they are releasing a tube power amp in a very small compact format, and I was like, this is genius. This can be used for analog pedals. This can be used for digital pedals. I think I haven't read the specs. I think it's a digital Class D power amp with a tube preamplifier or something. It's hybrid or full tube. I'm not completely sure. But I was like, they're going to sell this thing because some people probably during rehearsals or at a certain time of their life, they can be like, I really need to feel the push of a real amplifier, and I have this digital solution. So this is something that just makes sense to expand my gear, and I think that's going to be the norm from now on. Things that work for both for the digital and analog world like, for example, I don't know, something that completes a little bit your digital stuff, or it works well with your current analog pedal board?
Yeah, I'm one of those guitar players that I do a lot of things, and sometimes I get to use backline, and it's wonderful. It's a very, very different experience. But yeah, more and more gigs are now direct. So yeah, I think kind of that world of somewhere in between it is great. And yeah, the Zero is a perfect example of that, where yeah, you can actually have backline but go direct as well. So
Yeah,
the sound engineer's happy, you're happy, and the world is a wonderful place again.
absolutely.
But so the Zero is a fantastic product. What were the challenges that you found kind of trying to fit a full amp? Because obviously there are power amps in pedal format and everything, but a full amp.
The great, really big, absolutely huge issue that I had that took me more than a year to solve was the noise. Because obviously when you have Zero is totally like 100 watts of electric consumption. So when you have that, you can either put like a big transformer, like a tube amplifier, but that kind of, it's pointless because it needs to be small. And the power supplies that you can fit in that enclosure are very noisy. It's always noisy, especially like 6 years ago, because 6 years ago seems like nothing, but electronically things have evolved a lot. And it took me a lot of time to solve the noise issue. And when in fact when we released the Zero, my partner Jesus was a little worried, like, people are going to copy this. And I was like, probably, but first of all, they will need to buy one, because it's taken me a lot of time to figure out how to get rid of all the noise to make it absolutely quiet. And I think that was the biggest challenge. Everything, Zero is very small, and the preamps, the electronics were quite small, but to make a good isolation, wow, that was something.
Interesting. Which kind of brings me on to the next question. What is there a feature or something within one of your pedals or your amp which you're most proud of that most people probably wouldn't notice?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I have a couple of answers. The first one is probably that our pedals are very quiet. Mm-hmm. I like everything that is very quiet, and they get on very well with almost any kind of power supply. Sometimes people write to me and say, like, hey, I have a power supply that really is very, very bad quality. I got it through Amazon. It cost me like €5 or pounds or something. Yeah. But with your pedals, it was fantastic. And I was like, thank you, because I put a lot of effort into it. I want our pedals never to be a liability, always to be an advantage, always to be something that you can put in your pedal board. That, for example, with the Stone Age, it has a couple of buffers with fast pedals. They have a very hard relation between them. Yeah. And it has a couple of buffers already integrated in the pedal, so you can put it virtually anywhere on the signal chains, right. And also it retains the dynamics of the fast that it's trying to recreate. So yeah, I think the versatility and the things that are pedals are never a problem. They just work. They just do their job. They don't complain. They don't need anything special. The power. They don't make any noise. That's our main philosophy for the design.
Yeah, that's it. I feel the power situation is something that so many players don't realize, and I've fallen foul. And you build a pedal board you get a last minute gig in, and you got to throw something together quickly. And power isn't something that you really think that much about. It's like everything switches on. Right, we're good. Let's go. And you get to the gig, and all you hear is,
Yeah, the mythical ground loop.
Something is making a noise, and oh no, and it's a cable. It's like, no, it's the power.
Yeah. Someday, I have plans. I don't know. Maybe in 5 years, I don't know, because we take things slow. I have the ideas for power supplies, but really, people really throw anything to power their pedals. That's really normal. I also have done that, and making a pedal that really it's not very demanding and that just takes anything. I think it's something that works towards your advantage.
Yeah, I think it's cables less so these days, but yeah, power is still kind of the dark art of,
Cables have come a long way. No, not that you say it like the cheapest cables are better than the ones we had like 15 or 20 years ago. Are way better. Yeah, really.
Yeah, I have some really cheap little patch cables. Like, they pass signal just fine.
They just work. Yeah, absolutely.
And they're probably not going to break that quickly either. So, yeah, happy days. So do you have like a little black book of 1 million things that you want to do? Or is it kind of, just...
Yeah. Always. I'm a nervous mind, let's say, in that way. I'm always thinking on new stuff. We have a lot of things to release. There's always an internal struggle here in Thermion, which is like, I want to release new stuff, and the sales part is like, please calm down. We need to sell the stuff that we have. And I'm like, but why? Yeah. I have a lot of things in mind. A lot of designs already complete that are waiting to be released. Some people come through the workshop and I'm like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It's a secret."
Don't tell anybody. So something I've noticed that you haven't done. You've not kind of gone the route that a lot of, or the overwhelming majority of pedal manufacturers do, and gone, right, here is, the ultimate tube screamer or the ultimate clon.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a rite of passage. It's like, you make pedals, you have to do a tube screamer or a clon. What's your view on kind of that? Would you, if you were to make one, would you stick with authenticity?
I have done that, but they haven't been for sale.
Right.
Those have been just for myself. And I did have, I don't know, tube screamer clones.
Yeah.
I gave them away. In fact, some artists in Spain have those prototypes. But it was a very early thing, and I very soon discovered that really was not my thing. Not because I didn't like them, but because I found that there were a lot of things that I could improve on them, and I felt that it was a little bit dishonest towards myself, because I felt like, would I really market a pedal that it's, as you know, the ultimate fast face, the ultimate tube screamer, the ultimate clone, when I can do something like really different, or something that's really more of a problem solver rather than typical tube screamer. We're always joking about that here at Thermion. Like, there will be some day that we will release the ultimate tube screamer, which we are not going to do. But it's a, let's say, engineering decision. We can do things a different way. We are more than capable of that, and we can do things that solve problems. And to get in that, I don't know, rat race of releasing the best of the best, I don't know, X tube screamer clone, I don't really see myself doing that.
I guess it's kind of a good example of that is something like the JHS, where I forget the name of the pedal, but yeah, it's like it's all of the tube screamers, and it's
the bonsai.
There you go, yeah. And it reminds me of a video of John Mayer, and he pulls out this super custom shop Lenny Strat, $20,000 worth of Strat or whatever, meticulously recreating that particular guitar, and he pulls it out, plays a few notes, and it's like, sounds like a Strat. It's like, yeah, the JHS Bonsai. You go through them all.
Yeah.
They all sound like a Tube Screamer.
Yeah.
You know, there's an inherent kind of tone to it, regardless of which version. So it's like, does the world need another Tube Screamer or another clone or whatever? So, yeah.
I think there are guitar players that will always be attracted to those classic designs because there's a reason why they're classic. There's a reason why they really can be improved in a lot of ways. But I think that, if the Tube Screamer couldn't be bought anymore from Ibanez, I would be like, okay, this is a good time to make a Tube Screamer. But doesn't really make sense to release another one. I mean, for example, we have done that with the Stone Age, which has like 4 complete fast pedals, five fast pedals inside. But we did something different. There was kind of mixes in between them, and there was an EQ that it's more like a tailoring EQ to make the sound of the fast like fit virtually any amplifier.
Yeah.
And you had clean mix, you had an octave fast mix. So yes, I really like the philosophy of redoing things from the past, but they always need to have enough amount of innovation to be justified for me for releasing it. And the most simplest designs that we come up with, we released those in the Powerball series, for example. We started with a Univibe, which is obviously a Univibe. We've made it different. It's an analog Univibe, as the optocouplers are forbidden now in the European Union. It's another way for making the kind of wobbly rotary effect. So I was like, that's justified. And there were very, very little tremolos that did the harmonic and regular tremolo thing. So I was like, okay, let's release it here. But if I don't find something that really justifies the design in the innovation part, I would rather not release it.
Yeah, cool. How do you find the kind of new kind of way of marketing? Specifically, I'm talking about YouTubers. Do you think that is like, that's now the be all and end all? It's like you have to be with the big YouTubers, or is it just kind of still a little bit old school with the word of mouth? Obviously marketing a new piece of gear now has changed significantly in the last 10 years.
I have unpopular opinions about that thing. I love watching demos of the gear I like. I think YouTube, the YouTube for demoing things has really, it's something needed, and it's something that has a place in the market, in the world. People really want to watch the features with a good camera, in a good situations. Those guys obviously need to make a good living, need to be paid. That said, I think that people tend to think that there's a pedal bubble, that there's so many pedals that really companies cannot coexist anymore, and that there are companies that need to be put out of the market right now. And I think it's more of a pedal YouTuber bubble, that we make it look that there are too many pedals, too many things, that everything is saturated, but it is because it has so much exposure. I mean, we have been for many years, and we still are, quite a just Spain phenomenon. So we have grown very, very little by little, starting in our area, continuing in our region, then Spain, then trying to reach a little bit the international market. And we have also made the decision to work with big YouTubers to make big demos. I think they're completely fine. I think they were very justified money investments. But right now, we are doing, like 10% of what we were doing at the time, and we are doing better.
Wow, okay.
So, do do you need to make demos with big guys? Probably. I am doing those, and I will do more, of course. Does everything you release need to have a very big demo, a very big release? Do you need to be always promoted by the big guys? There's absolutely no need. Probably we have for a couple of years from in the past until now, we have gone the route of speaking directly to a lot of artists, to a lot of guitar players, going the more traditional route to have people work with our amplifiers and our pedals every night, and to spread the word, just spreading the word like the old way, just mouth to mouth, and that's done wonders to us. So it's really necessary to make big things, yeah, but the old way for us has worked very well lately.
Well, yeah, how you started, just kind of one thing at a time, and one leads to another, and then it all snowballs, and here you are now.
Yeah. You were doing what we can.
So here's an interesting question: how much of a pedal's perceived tone comes from sort of psychology or expectation rather than the actual circuit?
Wow, that's a good one. Being a psychological thing, I think it depends on who you ask. For me, I'm a very analytic person. So if I play a pedal and I really don't like it, and I think, well, this is okay, but there's a lot of things that could be improved, I would probably have a negative opinion on that pedal. But I know a lot of people. For example, I'm going to mention an example, no names, no nothing, but if some of the guys at Thermion see this interview, they will laugh. A couple of weeks ago, we had a show in Malaga, and some guys had an amplifier, which told me that it was like a, I don't know, 5,000 euro amplifier, and it was considered the best amplifier in the world. And I'm like, how is this amplifier considered the best amplifier in the world? I mean, which is, but as a starter, the best amplifier in the world for everyone. I mean, will I ever see Van Halen play with it, or will I ever see Guns N' Roses, or I don't know, or a jazz guy play with it? Yeah. Does it really fit everything in the world, cover up every sound? No, it was like a I don't know, just one channel Fender style amplifier, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense to be the best amplifier in the world.
Back in the room. Cool. So actually leading on from that. So obviously as a musician, it's difficult becoming a musician and still really enjoying just listening to music.
Really? Absolutely.
Rather than just kind of going, oh, that's a pentatonic scale, or that's a this chord, or whatever. Do you find the same with gear, where you plug in and you just kind of, you can't enjoy it, you just go like, oh, I would just, this capacitor is wrong, or whatever, you kind of think of it from an engineering point of view and go like, oh, just change this.
That thing is real. Okay. Someday I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I've reached the point, because obviously when I started the project, the company, the first years is a little bit saying too much. When I was like just working with Thermion the first years, someday I came up to her and I said, do you know something? I hate my job too. because as you say, there's a point that you reach as if you are a professional musician and you recognize the scales and you say like, well, this is okay, but this is the thing that everybody does, or this is the same over and over. It's a little bit of that also in the amplifier world. Sometimes I hear there's very rare instances in which I hear a pedal or an amplifier, and I'm really very impressed.
Okay.
Because at the end, as to say, it's always the world evolving around the same concepts, and obviously evolving also, but in a very, very slow manner. And yeah, that happens to me a lot. And it also happens with my own stuff. When I released, for example, the gasoline, I was like, wow, this is super exciting. It sounds like a tube preamp, and it's so small and can do so many things. Then I released the Heartbreaker, and I was like, well, I've done it again. Now it's like, instead of being American high gains, like more Marshall sounding. And with the third one, with the Breakthrough, I was like, I'm a little bit unimpressed because, okay, it sounds like an AC30, but it's also an AC30 again.
Yeah.
So really, that happens a little bit. And with the designs of another people, with you get the same feeling with the analytic hearing, like, okay, this is more like this kind of tone, this is more like this kind of sound, and there's very rare moments when you really find yourself impressed.
Okay. So, who are your favorite kind of pedal brands? Who would you kind of gravitate towards?
I really like. I mean, first speaking about the classics, I really like Marshall. I'm a Marshall guy. If I could afford vintage Marshalls, I would really have a problem with vintage Marshalls. I cannot do so. It's perfectly fine for me right now. My favorite amplifier is the Marshall JCM 800, the 2205 version, the 2 channels, 50 watts version.
Yeah,
I really love that amplifier. It's everything I would need probably forever.
Okay.
that and a boost pedal and like forever happy. Not so much about classic designs. I feel like, for example, Tech 21, the New York-based company, made really huge things in the 80s and the 90s. It was really not very appreciated because at the time everybody preferred to take a 100 watts stack, and that was the thing. But I think they really pushed the analog, really everything in one format thing. They was the first ones to do so. Also, a company that now a little bit forgotten for obvious reasons. That's called AMT. I really praise what they do. They're based in Russia, in Siberia.
Yeah.
I had their designs as just from an engineering perspective. It's like, well, this can get a little bit better than this. This is like, wow, top design. I really love their designs. I think some of their ideas are way ahead of their time, especially when they release those. They make like really crazy things, and I love what I've heard from them, what I've played from them. And something more recent, I don't know. Obviously, another company that I really like a lot. They're not so recent. Taurus amplifiers from Poland. They were the first one that I know to release a pedal, an amplifier in pedal format.
Uh-huh.
They were really ahead of the time. I really love what those guys did back in the day. They are not very popular right now. I don't know why, but they should really bring those amplifier pedals back because they were fantastic.
Interesting. So just to finish up, what do you consider the perfect pedal board? Kind of whether that's classic or something kind of more that we're going to see in the future. What is Jose's ultimate pedal board?
My ultimate pedal board. First of all, I'm more of an tube amplifier guy. If I can, I always take my Spitfire stack and my 412 cabinet. That's my basic. If I can play with my Spitfire, I will play with my Spitfire. And just a delay. I just play with a delay pedal.
Okay.
Spitfire and a delay pedal. And I'm a simple guy. If I can bring my Spitfire, then the possibility is open. I usually bring a 0 with a Heartbreaker as a second channel. an uprising as a booster, and an outlaw as a delay, and a chorus pedal. Any manufacturer really works. Mm-hmm. I had electro harmonics for some time. The small clone, the one that just has the switch, and that was enough for me. And that's it. With that, I'm a very simple guitar player. I really play just a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb if it's in the amp. If it's not, I just play without reverb. And that's pretty much my tone.
Perfect. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I always try to keep it very simple. It's a little bit also of what you say, that now that I can put out as many pedals as I can design in my pedal board, I just don't want to. Yeah. I just want to keep everything as simple as I can and just hear my guitar and my fingers.
Yeah. It's like a kid that has access to all of the suites. It's like, I'm not bothered. I don't care anymore.
We say in Spain something that I like to repeat a lot, that God gives bread to the guy that doesn't have teeth.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Jose, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll look forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you for having me here, and see you around.
Take care. Cheers. Cool. Perfect.
Cool.
Despite technological problems, but there we go.